The security footage from Santa Barbara Municipal Airport is grainy, but the timestamp is unmistakable. 3:14 a.m. A black SUV screeches to a halt in a no-parking zone. The driver doesn't get out. Instead, the passenger door flies open and a figure stumbles onto the tarmac. It's Prince Harry, but this isn't the polished Duke we're used to seeing on magazine covers. He's wearing a gray t-shirt, sweatpants, and one of his sneakers is untied. He has no suitcase. He has no security detail. He is clutching a single dark blue booklet in his shaking hand, his British passport. Witnesses on the ground described a scene of pure panic. One tarmac employee who spoke on condition of anonymity said, "He didn't look like a royal. He looked like a refugee. He ran toward a fueling Cessna, banging on the hull and shouting for the pilot to just go." For 4 years, we've heard rumors about Harry wanting to leave the UK. But tonight, the narrative has flipped. He isn't escaping the palace. He is escaping the mansion in Montecito. Sources claim the house is currently in lockdown. Lights are blazing in every room and guards are patrolling the perimeter, but the master bedroom is empty. And the reason for his flight, a source extremely close to the Sussex camp leaked a frantic text message allegedly sent by Meghan to her mother just minutes after Harry's car peeled out of the driveway. The text doesn't express worry for his safety. It expresses terror for her secrets. It reads, "He broke into the safe. He has the blue drive. Mom, it's over." To understand why a prince would flee into the night with nothing but the clothes on his back, we have to go back 3 hours before the wheels left the tarmac. The children were asleep. Meghan was reportedly in the guest wing editing the final cut of a new project. Harry wasn't asleep. He was searching. According to household insiders, the prince had been planning a solo trip to the UK to visit King Charles following the cancer diagnosis. But there was a logistical problem. He couldn't find his passport. For years, it has been whispered that Meghan keeps the family's vital documents in what she calls the vault, a hidden safe in the master closet that requires a biometric scan. But tonight, whether by fate or a glitch, the safe was allegedly left ajar. Harry walked into the closet expecting to grab his travel documents and leave a note. He found the passport, but underneath it, he found something that didn't belong in a family safe. It was a metallic blue hard drive. A strip of masking tape across the front featured handwriting that Harry recognized instantly. It belonged to Marcus Anderson, Meghan's closest ally and Soho House director. The label read, "Soho Archive, 2015-2018, do not delete." Curiosity turned to confusion, and confusion quickly turned to horror. Harry took the drive to his study, locked the door, and plugged it into his laptop. What he saw on the screen wasn't a family photo album. It was a folder structure that looked like a corporate acquisition database. Folder A, the Istanbul account. Folder B, the yacht receipts. And then Folder C, target acquisition H. Harry clicked on the file. The video that opened was time-stamped June 2016, 1 month before their first date. It shows Meghan sitting in a Soho House boardroom in Toronto. She isn't the blushing humanitarian in this clip. She is clinical. She's holding a whiteboard marker, circling a photo of Harry pinned to the board. "He's the mark," she says in the clip. "He's desperate for a mother figure. We need to play up the Diana angle. If we hook him, the brand value is infinite." Harry didn't scream. He didn't cry. He threw up. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow. The romance, the courtship, the us against the world, it was all a long con. A carefully orchestrated heist where the stolen goods were his life. He ejected the drive, shoved it into his pocket, and ran. He knew instinctively that if she knew he had seen Folder C, he wouldn't be allowed to leave the house. Now high above the Atlantic in the pressurized cabin of the Cessna, Harry was no longer looking at the video files. He had opened a folder titled The Sandringham Tapes. The file names made his blood run cold. Queen Private Summit John 2020. William Kitchen Argument. Charles Financial Plea. Harry plugged in his headphones and clicked on the file labeled with the Queen's name. He heard the crackle of a hidden microphone. Then he heard the voice of his late grandmother speaking softly about her disappointment. "I cannot give you half in, half out, Harry," she said. "It is dangerous." Then he heard himself shouting, and in the background, the rustle of fabric. The microphone wasn't on him. It was on Meghan. He realized with a sick, jolting sensation that she had been wearing a wire during the most painful private moment of his life. She hadn't just recorded the family, she had archived them for leverage. But the horror didn't stop at wiretaps. The drive contained a subdirectory labeled Medical and Logistics. Inside were emails between Meghan and a specialized prop studio in Los Angeles, known for high-budget sci-fi films. The subject lines were clinical, month 4 silicone weight adjustment, texture match, delivery date prosthetic set B. Harry clicked on an image file. It showed a side-by-side comparison of a moon bump, a prosthetic pregnancy belly next to a photo of Meghan from an engagement in Birkenhead. The match was identical. The crease in the coat, the way the fabric draped it, was engineered. Harry sat back in the leather seat, his hands trembling. He realized the secrecy surrounding the births wasn't about privacy. It was about hiding the fact that the production schedule didn't match the biological reality. Back in Montecito, the silence of the night was shattered. Meghan didn't call 911 to report a missing person. She didn't call her security team to report a kidnapping. She made one call to a number with a Toronto area code, Marcus Anderson. The transcript of the call, intercepted by the same localized signal breach that caught her earlier text, is a masterclass in panic management. "He has the archive," Meghan allegedly whispered, pacing the room. "He knows about the yacht. He knows about the audition tapes." On the other end of the line, Marcus went into damage control mode. "Track his phone," he ordered. "If he brings that drive to London, if he hands that to William, we are uninsurable. We are finished." But Harry had finally learned the tradecraft of the people he was living with. Police reports confirm a shattered iPhone 14 Pro was discovered on the side of the 101 freeway near the Carpinteria exit. Harry had tossed the tracking device out the window at 60 miles per hour. He had gone dark. Realizing she couldn't track him physically, Meghan initiated Plan B. At 5:45 a.m., a call was logged with the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Department, but also relayed to private medical contractors in the UK. The narrative was calculated and chilling. "We have a high-profile male age 39. He has fled the residence in a manic state. He is off his meds. He is delusional. If located, do not approach. He needs to be detained for an immediate psychiatric hold." She wasn't just trying to stop him. She was trying to institutionalize him. She knew that if Harry landed in London and walked into Buckingham Palace with the blue drive, her reign was over. But if he was intercepted at the airport by medics and dragged away in a straitjacket, anything he said about prosthetics or wiretaps would be dismissed as the ravings of a madman. The wheels of the Cessna screeched against the wet tarmac of Farnborough Airport. It was 11:00 a.m. London time, gray and drizzling. As the plane taxied toward the private hangar, Harry looked out the porthole. His heart hammered against his ribs. He saw them. 3 black SUVs were parked near the jet bridge, but they weren't the Royal Protection Squad. They were private security contractors. Standing next to them were 2 paramedics and a man in a suit holding a clipboard. Meghan's call had worked. "They're going to section me," Harry realized, gripping the blue drive so hard his knuckles turned white. The pilot opened the cabin door. "Your Highness," the man in the suit called out, "please come down slowly. We have a car ready to take you to a private clinic. Your wife is very worried." "I'm not going with you," Harry shouted from the top of the stairs. "I am not on medication." The man in the suit signaled the paramedics to move forward. "Sir, please, we have a hold order. Don't make this difficult." It was a trap. If he walked down those stairs, he disappeared. But just as the paramedics put their boots on the first step, a roar echoed across the airfield. From the service entrance, a convoy of 4 armored Range Rovers tore onto the tarmac, lights flashing. They didn't have private plates. They had crown plates. The vehicles boxed in the private security team, and 6 men stepped out holding submachine guns. At the center was a tall, broad-shouldered man in a trench coat. It was Ken Worf, the former personal protection officer to Princess Diana. A man Harry hadn't spoken to in years, but the only man he trusted enough to call from the air. "Step away from the prince," Worf barked. The man with the clipboard stammered, "We have a medical order from the Duchess." "The Duchess has no jurisdiction here," Worf interrupted, flashing a badge bearing the royal crest. "This is British soil. That man is the son of the king. He is under the protection of the crown." Worf looked up at Harry. "Get in the car, sir. We're going to see your father." Harry sprinted down the stairs, dodging the stunned paramedics, and dived into the back of the lead Range Rover. Safe. The convoy tore through the streets of London, ignoring red lights. The car turned into the mall, and the gates of Clarence House swung open. King Charles was waiting. Sources inside the palace describe the scene as biblical. The prodigal son returning not with a plea for money, but with a confession of high treason. Harry was ushered into the morning room. Charles stood by the fireplace, looking frail but upright. Queen Camilla was there too. Harry didn't bow. He walked straight to his father and placed the blue drive on the antique coffee table. "It wasn't the press," Harry said, his voice cracking. "It was her. The leaks, the book, the interviews, it was all scripted. And I have the script." A team of royal aides brought in a secure laptop. For the next 2 hours, the King of England listened. He heard Meghan recording him during private family dinners. He heard the Soho house strategy sessions where she and Marcus mocked the monarchy as a fading brand to be strip-mined for content. But the moment that broke the king was a video file from September 2022, time-stamped 2 days before Queen Elizabeth died. The video shows Meghan in the Montecito kitchen on a call with her PR team. "The old lady is fading," she says, casually chopping vegetables. "When she goes, we need to launch the racism narrative immediately. Charles will be weak. We hit him while he's grieving. If we time the podcast right, we can delegitimize the coronation before he even puts the crown on." Charles turned away from the screen, shaking. This wasn't just a bad daughter-in-law. This was a foreign operative who infiltrated his family to dismantle the institution from the inside. "She wanted to destroy us," Charles whispered. Not because she was hurt, but because it was a business plan. Suddenly, the secure phone on the king's desk rang. It was the direct line to the Prime Minister. "Your Majesty," the aide said, looking pale. "TMZ has just published a statement from the Duchess. She claims Prince Harry is mentally unstable, violent, and abusing substances. She is demanding full custody." King Charles stood up. The frailty was gone. In its place was the cold resolve of a monarch. "She thinks she is fighting a husband," Charles said, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. "She forgets she is fighting the crown." He turned to his private secretary. "Get MI6. We are not issuing a statement. We are issuing a warrant." The sun has set over London, but the lights in Clarence House are burning brighter than they have in decades. While the world's media is frantically reporting Meghan's claims, a very different scene is playing out behind the scenes. At 6:00 p.m. GMT, the British ambassador in Washington, D.C., delivered a sealed envelope to the U.S. Department of Justice. It is a formal request for the immediate securing of the Montecito residence as a crime scene involving international espionage against a head of state. The blue drive didn't just prove a bad marriage. It proved that Meghan Markle illegally recorded private conversations with the late Queen and the current King, a violation of the Official Secrets Act and U.S. federal wiretapping laws. Back in California, the mood in the Olive Garden mansion has shifted from triumph to terror. Sources outside the gates report that a convoy of black SUVs with federal plates has just pulled up. It isn't the local sheriff. It is the FBI. Meghan stands in the foyer, phone in hand. She tries to call Marcus Anderson. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." Marcus has gone dark. The network has cut the line. In London, Prince Harry steps out onto the steps of Clarence House. He's clean-shaven. He's wearing a suit. He looks like a Windsor. He walks to the waiting press pack, the flashbulbs blinding him. He steps up to the microphone and speaks directly into the lens of the BBC camera. For 6 years," Harry says, his voice steady, "I was told that my family was the villain. I was told I was a victim. I was told I was saving the world." He pauses. "I wasn't saving the world. I was funding a grift, but the money has run out. The scripts have been burned, and the blue drive is now in the hands of the authorities." He holds up a piece of paper, a copy of the 1917 letters patent regarding the custody of royal grandchildren. "My children are citizens of the United Kingdom. They are the grandchildren of the king, and I am coming to get them." Harry turns and walks back inside, the heavy oak doors slamming shut behind him. The simulation has broken. As the screen fades to black, we are left with one final image from the leaked dossier. a text message sent from Harry to Meghan just seconds before he stepped out to the press. It consists of 3 words that end the era of silence and begin the era of reckoning. Checkmate H.